But in the meantime, we have more breaking news happening in Washington. The new House has just passed the Laken Riley Act. Now, this bill is named after nursing student Laken Riley, who was murdered by an undocumented migrant last year as she was out for a jog on the University of Georgia campus. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is following all of this live from the Capitol. And Joe, this legislation also had support from Democrats.
Yeah, it did. It was a pretty overwhelming vote today. It passed the House earlier this afternoon. All Republicans in the House supported it, and 48 Democrats voted for it. Now, you may remember in the last Congress, this bill also passed the House. It didn't go anywhere in the Senate, but it only had 37 Democrats. So 11 more this time around. There is a difference between this version of the bill and the one that passed last Congress. And the difference is, in the last one, there were specific provisions that just basically criticized President Biden for his handling of the border and immigration as a statement. It didn't really have any teeth to it, just added that criticism and condemnation in it. Republicans got rid of that piece of the bill this time around, and now it is just the immigration enforcement mechanisms, and it seems to have worked. They gained 11 Democrats this time around. Let's take a look at what this bill actually does. It would mandate that ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, issue detainers, in other words, detain or arrest any undocumented person who is found to have committed burglary or theft, lower-level crimes. You may remember the man who killed Laken Riley was in the country illegally and committed a theft, but ultimately was released before he ended up committing that heinous act. So it would force ICE's hand, and it would also empower state attorneys general to actually be able to sue cabinet officials, federal officials, if this act is not enforced. Now, before we go any further, take a listen to what Speaker Mike Johnson had to say about this bill today ahead of the vote, about why it was so important this be one of the first immigration measures that this new Congress takes a vote on.
As promised, we're starting today with border security. If you polled the populace and the voters, they would tell you that that was the top of the list. And we have a lot to do there to fix it. It's an absolute disaster because of what has happened over the last 4 years. And the Laken Riley Act is a big part of that.
Now, as you mentioned, 48 Democrats also voted for this bill, but that means that the majority of Democrats voted against it. And this is what Pete Aguilar on the Democratic side said about why he opposed this bill.
It's very clear that House Republicans are going to push an anti-immigrant agenda. There are serious flaws in this bill. It did not come up before the Judiciary Committee. This has not gone through the normal traditional process. I personally voted against it because this would open a path for individuals with DACA to be deported, even if they are just around someone who committed a crime.
So he brought up the DACA population there, which is going to be very interesting because we know President-elect Trump has made immigration and border enforcement a priority in his incoming administration, but he has also taken a bit of a softer tone when it comes to DACA recipients specifically. So what President Trump urges the House and the Senate